coming to from the defining states of America.
It's the Bob and Bob Show.
Hey, welcome back to the Bob and Bob Show. And if you're a new listener, go ahead and pat yourself on the back because you, my friend, can see through the bullshit. So if you're looking for some serious opinions on some serious stuff, you're in the right place. You can also catch our show at bobandbobshow.com and on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, and on YouTube. Plus, make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And you can also join our email list by texting Bob and Bob Show to 22828. Yeah, so join something and actually listen to the show. That's the great thing to do, don't you think?
I think so, because I want the show to continue.
Yes. Continue on. Well, I'm your host, LB. I'm one of the Bobs. I'm short, little. They call me Little Bob. This guy over here across from me on the table is the other Bob, bearded one.
Yo.
That's what we call him. We used to call him Professor Bob, but
I'm not a professor.
Apparently he's not a professor, and I guess your name isn't really even Bob, is it?
No.
Okay, so, but we're going to call him Bob anyway.
Well, it kind of is.
It kind of is.
It is enough to call me Bob.
So what's going on, man? We got a lot of stuff going on in the country and the world, as always. Bunch of freaking bullshit.
Bunch of people doing a bunch of things, man, as usual.
Bunch of people controlling things from behind closed doors that nobody really has any idea who they are. Or the ones who do try to state who they are, they're called conspiracy theorists or something like that, you know?
Well,
They're just degraded.
Conspiracies are a real thing. They actually happen. There's documented history all the way through time of things that are questioned and marginalized into, shaming it out of public view that are actually things that happen.
Yeah, but what happens over time is things actually come back around and it actually is something that's for real. Mm-hmm. But during that period of time there where everybody thinks you're freaking nuts,
once it becomes mainstream knowledge, nobody ever says, hey, remember that where I didn't believe anything you were saying? Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I know I keep continually watching all the crap on mainstream media, as always, and going across my social media feeds and all that, and it's
hard not to get sucked into it sometimes.
Well, I got to look at some of it, but most of it is like they're bickering back and forth. They're not even having any content to really what they're saying or any solutions actually too.
No, yeah, it's a bunch of character arguing. It's it's people yelling at each other about how much they don't like the other guy and the reasons why. And it's usually something based around racism, because for the last 20 years that has been a perpetual theme that keeps reemerging over and over and over again by design. People are planting these seeds and keeping them going because it's effective. Because at a time when there was an actual strong threat of racism, it was very controversial, and rightfully so. But what people don't understand is that all these things, like Trump being the way he is and the squad being the way they are, or whatever, they're perpetuating
the squad.
It.
Come on now they got a name.
Yeah,
like
I
the
know.
Avengers.
What else am I going to call them?
It's the Avenger Squad.
Yeah,
we're taking liberty back.
But they don't. It's so crazy because they're supposed to be the leaders in this, and they're just perpetuating it and keeping it going. It's completely insane. And I don't know, man. It's completely
the real
insane.
what happens is
there are real things going on.
Well, they're stupid bickering and they're race baiting and all the stuff that they're doing. The American people are buying it,
and it brings real racism out to the forefront.
It actually makes things worse than it really is.
Right.
So then Whitey's over here getting all mad that black guy's doing this, and they're saying this about blacks and saying this about,
they're talking about
brown
Omar,
skins, but they're not
mostly
talking about white people in the same manner, and it's not pissing everybody off.
There's this weird notion that racism can only be whites discriminating against somebody else, which is silly. I mean, that's predominantly what it's been a lot here in the United States over the last couple hundred years, but it's not like that all over the world, and it hasn't always been that way here even. So I don't know, man. Racial bias is just racial bias, and to even suggest that it is mutually exclusive to any one ethnicity or race is absolutely, completely verifiably false.
Well, like you said, right before you got into your little rant there, is the fact that it's the hatred is being manufactured.
Right.
And people are buying it.
Right.
And they're selling it too.
And it's a great way to keep attention on that.
Well, then you start making
Instead of other
you start
things that
making
are
new
going
laws, like some hate crime laws.
Oh, it's a way
Now you draw a line. You say,
here's
because-
some danger. We need to make it safe for you guys, and this is how we're going to take your liberties and freedoms to make you safer.
Right. So you get in a fight with somebody, and if it's a different race than you, all of a sudden, and you win, now it's a hate crime.
And there's the notion that somehow an individual's internal reaction should somehow come with an external mandate of solution, which is absurd. It's that whole notion is irrational. It doesn't add up. The way you feel about something being said, an emotional reaction to something, even if it is somebody else's bigotry, legitimate or not, if you think a call to put a mandate over everybody in society because of the way you feel about it, even if 100,000 other people feel the same way, if you think that there is justice and mandate to govern that, to me that's childish, self-absorbed. It's absolutely an infringement on everybody else's perception. And your internal reaction, basically your internal reaction is of no obligation or burden on somebody else. It's 100% yours. You own it. If you don't like it, find a way to cope with it and deal with it. It is not my problem. If you make it my problem, you are now infringing on me.
Yeah. Well, you know how to stop racism, right?
Yeah, just don't be racist.
Stop talking about it and don't be racist.
Right.
Like, it's easy as that.
Set an example.
Don't let the media go back and forth with each other. They're stirring the kettle, man. And they're stirring the beehive up.
Set an example.
Yeah,
That's what you can do.
Don't let them freaking fool you. Don't let them take you in some direction that you shouldn't be going into.
You know how to make systemic change. You set an example as an individual. Get other people to follow your lead, and if enough people do that, voila, collective change.
Well, it
all starts and ends with the individual.
In the age of mass entertainment, I mean, people literally
mass manipulation.
That's what it is, and they just really don't want to look at things from that kind of standpoint.
They don't want to either.
They don't want to. That's the key thing.
We've had them right in front of us. Anybody at any point in time, we've had people sitting right in front of us, and we'll start talking about something, and they will. I mean, our listeners aren't aware of this, but we've experienced this where someone is right in front of us, and we will start talking about something like this, and they'll stop us cold and say, "I don't even want to know."
Yeah, I don't even want to hear it. And straight up. Like, wow, you don't want to really hear about, I don't want to get into this discussion, And
that's okay. That's
but
on them. But
it's probably because they fear that the truth's going to come out and they're going to feel stupid.
Or they just don't want to know because they like their little bubble. And that's their prerogative. That's okay. I'm not going to kick on that. I'm just saying I'm just saying that when you're, not wanting to know and deciding to sweep everything under the rug and stick your head in the sand, whatever happens, you don't really get to have. You can have an opinion about that too, but the reality is that what is actually happening outside of your own little bubble is still going to carry consequence and is still very real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, your bubble can pop.
Yeah. So,
you're bouncing around blowing bubbles.
Yeah. I mean, I choose knowledge. I choose exploration. It's just kind of who I am. I understand why some people don't want to be that way. I get it. I'm close to some people like that. But, and I guess as long as things stay okay, I don't know that there's really any benefit other than awareness in being the way we are and doing what we do.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I can't help but see what's going on, and I have this need to get it out there.
Right. Well, I mean, racism, they keep spreading it everywhere, but it's also, this is the kind of same stuff they use to spread homophobia.
Sure.
And
it's all of it. It's all the fear baiting.
Yeah.
Man.
So they spread these things, but if they popularize things like being a transsexual or being a racist or whatever, then now you're going to get a group of people that are following that.
That's the double-edged sword.
Yeah. So now you have a whole clan of these people that are all
it's controlled opposition.
Right,
They're both created.
They would have never even been a transsexual or whatever they ended up being, but they did because it was the popular thing. It was the thing going across their news feed.
Right.
They were seeing it on TV like it's cool. Same thing as racism, but racism is a dark, deep underground situation now. They bring it out into the light. Like it's so evil, and it is actually.
There is real racism. There is systemic racism. Systemic racism comes from personal racism. It does get seeded and nurtured. Okay, but what the reality right now that I'm seeing in the last few days or weeks or whatever on network news outlets and stuff like that is the usual. It is nothing but a massive propaganda machine, and right now it's all about Trump and the squad going back and forth in an attempt to basically just keep us focused on that childish BS, because that's exactly what it is. And it's because we have childish people in Congress and in the executive branch. They're childish and unknowledgeable, and it's really disgusting. I don't know, man. I don't really know what to say about it. I think it's a foul abomination.
I think it's all been the same thing as the American population. They get brainwashed in all this propaganda. Well, I think U.S. senators and congressmen and women and the president and all of them have been brainwashed as well.
Sure. I mean, they're products of their environments, too, and they get pulled in.
Well, they're getting their political contributions, and who knows?
They aren't necessarily aware and intelligent and informed either. They aren't. They're elected. That's what they are. They're privileged and elected, because you have to be privileged to even get up in there. And if, you gain privilege very quickly if you're an outsider. Very quickly.
Well, I mean, they don't come up with any real solutions. Like California's over here banning straws, you know what I mean? And there's all these other plastic products and other alternatives.
Yeah.
Why ban something? How about just force it out with an alternative that's more
eco-friendly?
eco-friendly?
Well, you don't even need to force it. It'll just go away. Offer an alternative, raise awareness, and it'll take care of itself. What you're saying is mandate should be the last. War should be the last option. Diplomacy first.
Yes. Well, find a solution.
Exactly. Just introduce it.
Stop yelling and bickering about all these stinking problems all over mainstream media. How about tell us what you're going to do? And I don't want to hear about your health care plan where you're going to phase out. You're going to phase out the private industry and pull in the government industry or whatever the hell you're going to do.
It's the same people, man.
It's like, shut the hell up, man. Dude, for real. Like, tell us something that we need to know. Do something that we want you to do. How about that?
Healthy competition would bring prices down so fast, but competition isn't there because government stops it, because insurance and med and pharma cartels are writing law. Bernie Sanders is not going to change that. Donald Trump is not going to change that. AOC is not going to change that. Joe Biden's not going to change it.
Joe Biden's definitely not going to change that.
None of them are, man.
But
none of them.
It goes back to the identity politics, though. People are going to vote for these people because they like the way they talk. They like the way they work.
Well,
they like the way they look. It's a whole. They like what they do, but they don't really know what they do.
Right. I don't like anything about what any of them do.
Any of them. Like, oh, she's cute. She's got big eyes, though, and she's yelling on the camera, and she's taking down Trump with her loud mouth, so let's like her.
People strawman themselves into irrational biases all the time, dude.
It's ridiculous. I mean, seriously, look at the issues. Look at what's happening around you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's literal automobiles everywhere and trucks just dispersing carbon poison into the atmosphere.
They're practically disposable at this point because the companies that make them want them to turn over. They make money when you buy new cars. So the market is as high as the consumer will accept, right? Which is normal. But then at the same time, we could be so much farther as far as eliminating waste in the way that we build cars and other things. But cars are a good example because they do have a high turnover. And it is so much waste to scrap. How many millions of cars a year do you think get scrapped? You know what I mean?
Tons.
Right.
Bet you tons of money is made out of that,
right.
too.
But the whole goal with these manufacturers, they want turnover. So they make flashy stuff that people will pay a bunch of money for that isn't anywhere near as durable or efficient or a lot of other things as it could be if the market was driven by something other than just flat-out profits.
Oh, absolutely. Just like, the ATV situation, UTVs and side-by-sides. Like when you buy a side-by-side or you buy any of those ATV vehicles, none of those things have protections put into place to protect like the A-arms or the axles or anything. You have to go outside and buy that stuff on your own.
Yeah.
They don't make the ATV just ready to rock and roll, you know what I mean?
Right.
You could take it out, but you might bust it because you didn't have protection underneath there.
Sure.
So that's on a whole nother market. Like, why can't products just be made, ready to go, tough as nails, American-made?
Someone might make an ATV like that.
But with all the bells and whistles, and I'm talking,
it'll cost twice as much as the other one, though.
Like your like if you buy a truck or something, you got the wheel well, fender flares and all that to protect from rust, and then you got
they're rubberized underneath.
Everything should be sprayed down and ready to go, but you have to do that yourself.
No, mine actually came from the factory that way.
Oh, did you? Well, was it there's something you had to order, or
No,
that's how they had it?
it's because it's a 2500 HD 4x4. That's why. It's standard on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So
Thing's damn expensive though.
It's damn expensive. That's a
Dude,
good sign, though.
that same truck, one that I got almost 20 years ago, that is pretty much the same thing for all intents and purposes. I don't need to go through the details. Nobody cares, you know. But that same truck essentially cost half as much 20 years ago as it does today.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, now you got all these little digital things in there, and radios,
all
and
kinds of stuff.
GPSs, and
It's also got a much thinner steel. Noticeably thinner.
So it has thinner steel.
The
costs
frame,
more.
Yeah, the frame is dimensionally much thinner.
Well, it's planned obsolescence,
Right,
And we've
that's what
talked
I'm
about
saying.
that. All of our products are like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, you can get something like let's take soap for instance. What's the deal with soap anyway? Soap, literally, like
It cleans you, dude.
But you ever get down to the bottom, like a bar of soap, get down to the bottom, it just doesn't have a smell to it anymore.
Dude, I've never used an entire bar of soap, so I have no idea what you're talking
All right,
about.
well, you get down to the bottom. No, that's why you stink so bad. No. So you get down to the bottom of the soap, the bar of soap, and it doesn't even smell like it did in the beginning.
I've never noticed that.
Or air fresheners in your car. You put them in there. How come they don't smell good like for a year? You know what I mean?
Well, those things, I don't even mess with those anyway, man.
I'm just saying.
They're full of chemicals.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's supposed to be disposable.
Well, I mean, you could put a...
Here's the thing with soap. You'll notice maybe the price of soap hasn't gone up too much. And I don't know if this is even true or not. But because I don't monitor the price of soap, but this is a real thing. Maybe if for companies to keep making money in a world of artificial inflation and real inflation, when they compound on each other, and when an item, they, instead of raising it in price, this is what's true. I don't know about the bar of soap thing specifically, but I know that instead of raising it in price, what they do is they start making a smaller quantity. So you're actually buying less product for the same price, and you think the price hasn't changed.
Right.
It has. The price has gone up because you're buying less.
They hold back the supply to create more demand? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's price fixing is what it is.
Oh, nice.
But it's legal price fixing because they are disclosing that you're buying less. You're just not looking. You have to actually look at the unit price and compare it to the one you got 2 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
nobody does that.
Well, who has time to do that?
Right.
Sheesh.
Like you got to be like a coupon mom to do that.
Right. You have to be like retired or something.
Right. So here's one thing I do know for sure for a fact. Dollar General. Like if you buy Irish Spring at Dollar General, it might be cheaper than the same 3-pack or whatever that you buy at your local grocery store. I bet you the bars at Dollar General, they were specifically made for Dollar General. They are real Irish Spring. They're Irish Spring made for Dollar General. They're probably an ounce or two lighter
like
per bar.
1.2 ounces lighter.
Right, exactly. And that's why they're cheaper. You're not getting a deal on soap. You're buying less soap.
And you're actually paying more if you were to buy the same bar of soap from the other place, right?
Yeah, but the bar's bigger.
But the bar's bigger.
Right.
Okay.
It's price fixing.
It's ridiculous is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's, and everybody's over here fighting about these political people.
We go all over the place.
I know, but you got to really look at stuff like this, man, for real. Like you really have to look at it.
Critical analyzation, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know. Like into the, what about this this run on
Area 51.
Area 51, yeah. Wow, I just had a brain fart right there.
We got a lot of those today, dude.
Yeah.
We don't have Chops with us today, and it's weird. We're so used to having 3 people in the studio now, and like somebody has to wake Chops up from every now and then, and somebody has to tell him to shut up every now and then, and he's not here now.
Yeah, no, that doesn't keep us sharp. We're sharp as a marble.
I know, man.
Well, they want to protest about this Area 51, which
they want to storm it.
I didn't really storm it, protest it. They're not storming it. That's not happening.
No.
So there's too much military over there.
I don't know.
To protect that.
When is that supposed to happen? I forget the date.
I don't know. I don't care. I think it's stupid.
Well, it's not. It's not going to amount to anything.
Just how about storm the Federal Reserve? Oh, don't say that. That's not good to say.
Area 51, dude. TV.
Yeah, you shouldn't storm any of them, but you can. You can do things. You can do things.
Storming Area 51 is almost like it's like got more entertainment value to it than anything else.
I think the guy that originally posted it or said something about it was just joking.
Right.
And the CIA had
this is 2019,
or the FBI
then.
had went to his house and talked to him and stuff.
Oh,
and was
sure.
like, "Hey, dude," he's like, "Man, it was just a joke,"
Right.
And and all of a sudden it blew out of proportion. Now there's
Yeah.
all these members, and they really want to do it.
Right.
But think about how many of these idiots are freaking really going to do it. They're just liking it to be cool or
Of
something.
course. Well, I don't know if anyone's going to show up, but what I would say is that if you are actually going to try to storm Area 51, that will be the last day on this mortal coil for you. You are going to get killed. That's what is going to happen
Yeah.
if you try to storm Area 51.
But how would that look in the media? How would the media cover that? Like they opened fire on a crowd of people trying to storm Area 51?
Yeah.
They're going to say, look, could it be spun like the innocent American citizens were shot at by blah, blah, blah?
They're not innocent if they're trying to storm a federal facility, though. I mean, that's just what it is, dude.
Well, the federal facility,
It's
and,
just
and
like
the government
if
are
they
known.
tried to storm the White House, it'd be the same thing. It doesn't really matter. If you tried, dude, listen, when you take on a government in an act of aggression like that, they're gonna hit you right back, and they're gonna hit hard. You know?
Yeah, but don't we have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights that protect us and give us the
From-
ability to stop this kind of tyranny and this kind of secrecy
you
and this
have
cloak
the-
and dagger stuff? Aren't we allowed to do something about
you
this?
have a negative right to attempt to.
To
but-
attempt to.
Yes.
That's the key word right there.
Yeah.
So
here's
there's
the
laws
thing.
in place that can get you killed for doing it, but you still have a negative
Well, the
right.
law doesn't get you killed. Storming a classified facility that is under the protection of all of the might of one of the world's most powerful superpowers there ever was is a bad idea.
Well, what if you want to know? What if we really want to know? How would we go about
Well, that's
that?
one way to try, I guess, but it's not a very good one.
I think it turns a bunch of heads, and a bunch of people are thinking, like, you know, if there's 1 million people ready to storm Area 51, there's something going on. Or are all these people
Well, there is
crazy?
something
Are they
going
all
on.
just nut jobs and like?
It's silly. It's entertainment.
Is Area
value.
51 just filled with like some space debris that fell to Earth and it's really nothing?
Who knows?
fancy?
We don't know what's going on there. You know,
Well, apparently a lot of people think there is something going on there.
there is.
So
There
well,
is stuff going on there.
You
There's
think
stuff going on at Lockheed Martin too. You know what I mean? There's stuff going on.
they probably moved out everything that was of importance there. No, they wouldn't even care.
No.
Then they would risk it getting seen or something.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not moving anything. They don't
No.
need to, dude.
Nope. They'll just sit there and hold the line very
Yeah,
easily.
They will very easily hold the line. And you know what? Here's the thing. When the United States went over to Vietnam, when the United States went to Iraq, at least not the Desert Storm Iraq, but this insurgent war situation, same with Afghanistan with the Taliban and stuff, it's not like they all lined up in a field, you know, in a phalanx formation and started marching towards the American lines, hoping that they wouldn't just get cut down with fire and sword before they even get a mile in. No, because that's a suicide mission. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
No, they put bombs on the side of the road and hide them. You know, it's an insurgency war. It's covert. They don't wear uniforms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they send kids strapped with bombs on them.
Yeah, dude. It's a guerrilla tactic of, you know, insurgency war. That is how, you know, a bunch of poorly armed and untrained plebs may have any kind of chance against a powerful standing army. Storming Area 51, 100,000 deep, isn't going to work for so many reasons. And one of them being, I don't know if you've ever been out in the desert, but the horizon's like 100 miles away, dude. You can see everything. Unless you can run at full sprint, only at like, you know, 400 miles an hour, that's probably not even fast enough. You're not even going to get to the gates.
Yeah, they already know. They already shot you.
Yeah, you're done. You're not. I mean, and we're talking about a bunch of, maybe some of them are CrossFitters or something, but if you're not from the desert, you're out of shape. You're not going to get anywhere. If they don't kill you, if you don't get close enough, if you're lucky, you will get close enough to get killed. You're probably just going to run out of breath and give up.
Oh, well, they'll just hang out outside the first set of gates, set of fencing.
And people do that all the time.
Yell and scream and
when
say dumb
a
stuff.
hiker comes near it, they let you know, dude.
I wonder if the media would be down there, and we'll send Chops down there to photobomb, and
Right.
he'll just, you know, jump behind these guys and say
Dude,
some stuff.
they'll take Chops.
Oh, they'll think he's an alien.
Yeah. They'll pull him in there like, this guy's coming with us. We got experiments.
Yeah. He's out of his mind.
The Area 51 thing is silly, but
Maybe they have some of the other reptilians that hang out with Clinton.
maybe
They'll be there.
lizard people.
The lizard people with Clintons, and who else is involved in that? I don't know.
What, the lizard thing?
Yeah, what's that lizard thing all about?
It's supposed to be like draconian species kind of stuff.
they're
It's
like,
a little bit out there, dude.
like their genes mixed with lizards or
Yeah,
something.
like they're not actually human beings, but they're cloaked as human beings.
Like the movie V.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
Yeah,
Was
that's
that,
pretty much it.
Was that from the 80s? When was
Yeah.
that was a crazy movie.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
I think they had
it.
like Willie the Good Lizard or something.
Well, I remember when it was a series on TV.
Yeah, that's what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was way back in the day.
Yeah, I think I had that on disc. Somebody gave it to me for Christmas one year because I
Yeah.
was so fascinated with it.
Dude.
Like they could they're like actual aliens inside like
You remember
human
they
skin.
used to peel their skin and it would show like the lizard skin?
Yeah. There were lizards underneath there, and they're ready to take over the planet or something.
Yeah.
And they're doing it all non-discreetly.
Well, they already are. They already have control of the planet. The humanoid or like cloaked lizards that are actually lizard people that look like humans to us. They're disguised as humans.
Yeah.
They're kind of like what you would call like agents and spies of the people that already have control.
Of the
lizards,
the humans
the
or the
draconians,
lizards?
the draconians.
The draconians.
Yeah,
That's dragons.
draconians. That's the name of the lizard race of aliens.
Oh, okay. Wow, you're about sharp today, Bob.
I don't really know that much about this because it's so far out there. I don't really have any opinion about it. I don't think it's a real thing, but at the same time, I've been around here long enough to know that my mind can be blown by certain revelations, just like anyone's, and who knows, man.
Some of the ancient text and some of the hieroglyphics and pictures and
There's
stuff that they
stuff out
drew.
there, man.
It looks like lizards on them.
Yeah.
Some of them things, man.
These things don't come from nowhere.
You think? I mean, I always try to speculate. You know, like how are these people thinking? Were they just making caricatures of something, like just likeness, or was it really a lizard that they were like drawing, or like Horus and the bird thing? Or
Well, this is
whatever?
what makes it so debatable. We don't know anything. We can make all kinds of assumptions about things.
Well, they write about stuff in their
Sure.
text but
What gets me?
something
here's what
coming
gets
down
me.
from the beings coming, or something coming down from the heavens and stuff.
What gets me is when you'll have two cultures that were doing that have very, very similar practices during the same time frames, not 2,000 years apart.
Mhm.
So it wasn't the same culture that traveled. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two cultures that are totally isolated from each other, doing very similar rituals and things at the same time frame with the same types of gods and stuff. That is where I'm like, where did they all get the same idea?
Yeah, they
And
weren't
they
crossing,
don't even know each
They weren't
other.
crossing oceans or
Right, that's what I'm
deserts and all
saying.
this stuff to talk to each other
That's
about
what
it.
I mean.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
how did this transfer? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I wonder, I don't know. Government seems to act like they think they are these supernatural beings now, apparently.
Maybe they are.
And they can say whatever the hell they want and do whatever the hell they want and make us feel
Well-
like some peons.
The supernatural beings are the bankers.
Yeah, definitely. They're probably shapeshifters.
Well, maybe they are, but I was kind of speaking in metaphor there, I guess we'll call it. I don't know. I'm really not that sharp today. I'm speaking
Sharp as a marble.
I'm speaking figuratively when I say the bankers, are the alien beings or whatever.
They have to know something because they are destroying the planet in the way humanity's survival with their money. Their money.
Yeah, corporation, something with the corporate model is highly destructive. The checks and balances, the check stops of tyranny that we're supposed to have in government, we do not have at all. We don't have them. When corporations are writing law, tyranny is happening. When government is mandating obligations onto the people through positive government, tyranny is happening. The protections for the people aren't there, and the protections for the individual aren't there. If it's not there for the individual, it's not there for the people. When corporations are allowed to tyrannize the population and sequester progress, that's tyranny.
Tyranny.
It is.
Yeah, they've taken over. Yeah, I don't think anybody pays attention anymore, so who cares? Screw it, right, Bob?
I
Why do a
guess
show
so.
even? Who cares?
Screw it.
Let's just leave. Who cares?
All right, I'm out of here.
Anyway, we're coming up on the halfway point, so make sure to visit bobandbobshow.com. We'll be updating stuff there and doing a bunch of crap.
It's like 100 degrees outside right now.
I know. And also, make sure to like the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And that's getting a lot of traffic recently, so
Yeah.
let's keep that up, man.
Get
on.
it going.
We're posting a whole bunch of different articles and stuff, so get on there and get the conversation going.
See you in a few minutes.
Well, the problem is we've allowed them to brainwash us. We've allowed them to make us think that we work for them. The bottom line is they're supposed to work for us. And we need somebody to come back and make people realize that. They work for us. We don't work for them. And of course, mainstream media in the United States, they're no help because all they are, they're part of it. They were supposed to be the fourth branch of government, the unwritten branch, that was supposed to inform and make the public intelligent of what the other three branches of government are doing. They're failing miserably because mainstream media today is into creating the news and entertaining you rather than reporting the news and making you more intelligent. I heard Dan Rather talk the other day about it. He said 25 years ago you had 40 independent media outlets in this country. Due to corporate takeover, even your books, Simon & Schuster are owned by a big corporation. HarperCollins owned by the same people that own Fox News. Dan Rather said you're down to 4 now. 4 major corporations control all the media in this country. The Democrats and Republicans are worse than the street gangs, and I'll tell you why. Okay, the Crips and the Bloods do bad things in their neighborhoods where they're located. The Democrats and Republicans affect every single citizen in this entire country. So why shouldn't the people be required to educate themselves and take a more active role? If they don't, we're going to lose the country. We're already going down that path.
Don't you get it, you jackasses? There ain't any damn future if we don't beat this son of a bitch. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk like that, but I can't keep doing this radio show and sitting up here and reporting all these reams of crap.
Hey, yeah, we are back, and the left-right paradigm, that's what he's talking about there. That's Jesse Ventura.
I think the
love that
parties
guy.
need to go away. I love him too. He's great.
Yeah, I don't know. He kind of gets boring to listen to for a little while, but for the most part, everything that he says is on point.
Yeah.
Just about.
A lot of people just think he's crazy.
He actually has a show on RT now, I think, too. It's
Yeah.
The World According to Jesse. So
He's a Russian.
Yeah, he's a Russian? Oh, no, it's Russian collusion.
You know, I want to say something, though. He just kind of spurred in my head there. He was talking about the Bloods and the Crips affecting everybody, or Democrats and Republicans affecting everybody in the entire country with their bull.
With their rhetoric.
Yeah, with their bad policy and going back and forth and, you know, doing what politicians do, hurting the population with their, selfish going back and forth. So anyway, here's the thing. Bloods and Crips only affect their neighborhoods, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that brings something to mind. Tyranny is at the crossroads of anonymity and power. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
So the more localized a power structure is, there's a few advantages to that. The more localized a power structure is, the more that those under the umbrella of that power structure can hold it accountable, because it's not 1,000 miles away in D.C. It's down the road.
Right. It's
20 miles
the
away.
rolling 20 Crips down the road,
Right.
or whatever they
It's
call
a
them.
mile away.
Yeah.
It's you can go to the town hall meeting, yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of times, the more local a government is, the more people have power over policy because they can hold their elected officials accountable. They can hold their bureaucrats more accountable because they can directly confront them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they can't confront them when they have no control over certain laws and regulations that are brought forth by federal government.
But that's the problem. Federal government's too big. So I'm arguing for localized government here.
Right.
So, let's go with minimum wage, for example. So, $1 in Manhattan is not the same as $1 in Albuquerque. They're two totally different economies. Economies are regional in that sense. Like wage markets and stuff. Okay. So,
it's got to go with like cost of living and all that. It has to be included in it.
Right.
I got
So they talk about equality and all this. Well, a blanket federal mandate is never about equality. It's about government power. It's about centralized power, and that's where tyranny sits. And it's ecological too. A mandate that works in a highly urbanized area is ridiculous in a rural setting, and vice versa. A mandate that works in a desert may not work in freaking Minnesota, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the whole idea of the United States, the way it's set up, is that we have local, like municipal government, we have county government, we have state government, and then we have federal government. The federal government should have a very, very limited role in any of our lives.
Well, that's not the case.
I know that's not the case.
It's they are really intruding on everything. But,
It should be the other way around.
but see, the government, in a sense, with their power, I'm not going to say they're backing off because they're not, but they are using corporate stuff to get into our lives.
I know.
They're using Facebook.
Corporations are using the government
Yeah, that's probably it's the other way around.
to get what they want, and in turn, the government does corporations favors by, or the corporations do the government bureaucrats favors, like the NSA and all that stuff, by giving them information that they have legally been granted to take from us.
I mean, the amount
And
of
we
information just on Facebook alone and
I
stuff.
know.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's like that face app thing where people are doing the old man faces
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff.
wanting to turn old. That's crazy. And then
I mean, I can see the draw to that. It's
It's funny.
invokes curiosity big time, dude.
oh yeah, sure.
But if you do it, if you actually sign up for it, you're giving your photos and your information to that app, the owners of that app.
But I'm not doing anything wrong. Why do I care? It doesn't matter. I'm
well,
not doing anything
then
wrong.
don't care. Who cares if you don't care? I'm just saying.
I want to look old.
I'm not going. I'm okay. I'm pretty good at looking old without that app.
I think they'd do better off if they made one that makes you turn young app.
yeah,
or
but you already
something.
know what you looked like when you were young.
So you could just feel young again.
Okay. Well, there's
They couldn't do that.
There's an
because
app for that.
You could take your picture and compare it and be like,
Dude,
wow, this app is off.
You just need to start wearing makeup.
Oh yeah, start wearing makeup.
Maybe Botox.
Oh geez.
So, there's this thing here I wanted to talk about. I got a couple of little articles here. One of them is the idea that the military is looking into possibly lowering the enlistment age to 16 if they can get that through government.
Do you really think they could get that through government?
I don't know. It's not a bill that's been made yet, but they're talking about it.
Well, I don't think they're mentally anybody. Even 18 years old is too
I know,
too
man.
young
But there's a reason why they appeal to young.
because they know nothing.
Right, because they'll do it.
Yeah,
They're naive enough to go fight a war, where the guys that, unless you're a professional soldier and all that, but I'm just speaking in general, your typical freaking, it's going to be easier to get a typical teenager to go to war than a typical 30-year-old guy. You know?
Well, you can get them to go to war in the streets over gay rights and all this
Sure.
other, and Gay Pride Month or whatever the heck that is.
Well, that's not what we're going to war to go take other nations' stuff, man.
I get it. You can take the other, the other part of the population that isn't LGBTQRST, VWXYZ, and you can use that, the male side
But
and,
they
the,
don't
and the
wanna
grunt
fight.
side of females and males and take them to war.
They don't want to go.
What? The grunts don't?
What?
I'm not talking about the gay pride movement going to
Oh,
war.
okay.
Is that what you thought I was talking
Yeah.
about? I'm just saying outside of them,
Okay.
the people that are not part of that,
Right.
those are the ones that they're grabbing. And
Well, I'm
and
not part of that, and I don't want to go.
Well, you're freaking old,
I know.
so we're not
That's
going.
what I'm saying. Old people ain't going.
Right, old people are not going. But
We wouldn't go if they would let us.
yeah, but don't you think maybe 21 should be a better age? So
For as far as somebody being mentally capable and prepared and mature enough to decide whether or not they want to go fight for a cause, the older you are, the more they're going to be able to make a sound decision on that, and most likely their decision is going to be that they're not going to go.
yeah, then
Without a lifetime of propaganda.
then we'll start seeing the draft and everything else come
right.
into play.
And but here's the thing. So there's a reason why they appeal to teenage kids, man, because
Well, hold on,
they're
wait.
dumbass kids.
They
That's
just
why.
raised in Ohio the smoking age up to 21. You hear
sure,
that?
I didn't hear that.
So
but
they want to
that's
raise.
not going to keep anybody.
They want to
from
raise
smoking.
the age of smoking to 21,
Sure.
but they want to lower the age of joining the military.
Right, and it's logically inconsistent.
What is
because,
that?
Well, it's a play on the you're not capable of making this decision for yourself unless you're 21, but it's okay for a 16-year-old to make the decision of whether or not he's going to go die in a war, right? And people don't catch this stuff.
No.
So what I got here is that the Army and the Navy and some other services, they want to expand their ranks. There's a debate over the military should consider lowering the minimum from 17 to 16 because 17-year-olds can enlist now as it is.
Oh, can you go? But you can go to war by 18.
Yeah,
That'll
you'll be
get-
trained and ready to go.
Yeah, that
by
gets
the
you
time
through
you're
boot
18.
camp and all that, and
Yep.
then you're just waiting until 18.
Right. And I guess there's more than a handful of countries that are already doing this, including the United Kingdom. There is no solid indication that lawmakers are actually going to go for this or entertaining the idea, but they are starting to talk about it now. They are using the excuse that younger Americans provide unique benefits, like the idea that a 16 or 17-year-old is less likely to have disqualifying factors like a felony than an 18 to 20-year-old.
Oh, jeez.
Which is silly anyway for a few reasons. And number one being, what constitutes a felony is ridiculous in this nation because we have the war on drugs and a prison industrial complex that loves to keep its facilities full. So it's really, really easy to be a felon in the United States. It is really easy to be a criminal. And same with the UK, because that place is even worse.
Well, think about why they're considering this, too, because a lot of these kids that are going to be 16 in the next few years or whatever, or 17 or whatever,
Yeah.
they are already preconditioned through video games and first-person shooter games.
Sure.
So they already have this want to go to war, thought in their head.
There's
They've been
other
conditioned.
There's other thoughts to this too, and that's true because one of their concerns here is that these are child soldiers, and one of their concerns is that when you're putting kids like that into a war situation, they are not going to have the combat efficacy of an older group where, say, the average age is 26 instead of 21. There's a lot of maturity between those years in your life. An older group of professional soldiers is going to be much better at fighting a war.
Yeah, they're going to make better decisions.
But-
they're going to be more strategic.
Right.
They have more experience
Right.
under their belt.
But see, here's the thing. Those guys aren't going away either. And usually if you are the tip of the spear elite kind of guys like Navy SEALs and stuff, you already have to be an officer. You've already gone through 5 years of training, and you are a professional soldier. The guys that are supporting you, like the Marine units behind you and stuff,
Yeah.
those are going to be the kids.
Those are going to be the 16-year-olds.
Right.
So your life's in their hands.
Kind of.
So, or your platoon, your squad,
But-
your whatever.
And child soldiers can be incredibly fierce. We've seen this before.
Well, they got to be
know.
trained early like they did down in Africa.
Or just
and
pushed
stuff like
into
that.
it. They're not really trained at all. They're just forced into it, and they
Well-
become savages because of all the trauma.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what I'm
well, you
talking
beat
about.
it into them. You,
Right,
You
that's
take
what
them
I'm-
out of their families and you beat it into
That's
them
exactly how they do
until
it.
they're brainwashed.
Right.
So that's a situation that's old methods because now
Right.
with technology you can brainwash a lot easier, a lot faster,
Well,
and for a
everybody's
longer period of
brainwashed.
time.
There's one thing I want to say about the criminality element, though, that weird excuse of them less likely to have disqualifying factors, which to me, what I see is happening right here is that whoever is proposing this, these people from the Army and Navy or whatever, they are trying to find a way to justify letting children enlist into the military because they're easily controlled and easily washed, and they, instead of instituting a draft, which they know the public at large probably would really, really not be okay with at this point, especially since there's a lot more awareness than there used to be politically about what all these wars are about.
Yeah, but we have people
And
signing up all the time. It's not a
I
big
know,
deal.
but there's not enough of them to keep the machine going, is what it is.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
People aren't drinking the Kool-Aid anymore, man. So they're trying to dip younger and get child soldiers going because they're very easily manipulated. And they're using this excuse of, too many 20-year-olds are felons. Well, first of all, it's too easy to be a felon. And just because somebody's a felon doesn't mean that they're incapable of serving in the military.
It might even be
In
better.
fact, absolutely, dude. Because you know what? It's not a new concept to make their sentence be military service. It's been done a million times. Most of the British Navy in the 17th and 18th century were their criminals. They didn't have prisons in England. Well, they did, but they did, and they didn't have a whole bunch of people packed in these prisons in England because they had a bunch of them in ships in the sea. They were the Navy.
Yeah.
All those sailors were felons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, sometimes felons, but you also have a risk with felons too.
Do you?
As soon as
have
you
a
take
risk
them to
with
court,
anybody.
they get convicted.
What's the difference
and
between...
the judge is like, hey, you can either do 5 years in the
Sure.
joint, or you can do 5 years with the military.
I had an uncle that did that. And he
Guy
ended up
says-
being some crazy son of a bitch
Right.
in the freaking Korea War.
Right,
dude.
guy says, I'll take the military.
Right.
Ship me away. Let's go. Gets to boot camp, but
Yep.
waits till the lights go out and he hits the road and he's gone.
Well,
Now
that
he's in the
happens.
streets.
but you have to be anybody could do that.
Yeah, they get caught eventually too, and you could post bond and skip
What's
bail
the difference between a felon and a non-felon?
a felony,
Yeah.
a conviction.
There's no real difference.
They're convicted of doing something.
Sure.
There's
but
a lot
so
of
many
felonies.
laws are
There's
arbitrary.
Like burglary, there's
right.
robbery, there's
So what we're saying,
assaults.
yeah, what we're saying is these labels in law are so arbitrary, and circumstances are so different in every case. There's no difference between a felon and everybody else, dude. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Now, I'm generally speaking here. Are some felons very different than everybody else? Of course, okay? We can get into semantics all day. There's people that are criminally insane. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about kids that maybe got on a bad path and got busted for something. Kids do whack stuff,
let's say somebody, one of these kids, or even maybe 18 years old.
There's a lot of people that do the same stuff that felons do, and they just never got caught.
Their crime, they ran into a house, they booted a door open, they ran in there, they scared all the people that lived in there, and them and their cronies stole a bunch of TVs and whatever. Okay.
Probably for drugs or something.
Right. So how could you apply that to the war efforts, like in the Middle East?
How can you not apply it?
Because
to the war
that's what
efforts
they
in the
do.
Middle East?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks like you
know
can kick in
what?
a door. Looks
When
like you can keep a crowd under control.
When
Looks
you've
like-
got a crazy ass dog like that, we're gonna like a breed of dog, like a person that is inclined to be like a fighting dog like that. Where is that dog gonna be happiest? Where is he going to perform the best he can perform?
kicking indoors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you send him to do that?
Right. Well,
so this excuse is goofy.
Well, if you send him to do that, then you're going to be paying him. If you
So
keep him at
what?
home in the prison industrial,
He's doing a good job.
If you keep him in the prison industrial complex, then now he's making money for you.
Sure.
Then you put him on the work farm. You have him milking cows or whatever the heck's going on.
Well, the money's going to go to the same establishment to different sectors of it. Because either way, he's working for the establishment. If you're a soldier, you're working for the establishment. If you're a prisoner, you're working for the establishment. And the taxpayers are supporting you in both of those endeavors.
Isn't that awesome?
I know.
Wow, put those dots together. That's
Dude,
awesome.
It's crazy, man. It's so crazy.
Send them to war. Send them to war. I mean, criminals.
Dude.
Why? Who cares? Let's get rid of war.
Right.
All these freaking wars, these proxy
that's-
wars, all these drug wars.
How can we get around not having child soldiers? Not having wars?
All right, stop influencing other governments. I mean, I don't know. That might
We're
be
so interventionist at this point. But here's the reality of it. America is being used to globalist ends because America is controlled by globalists.
Yes.
I mean,
it's controlled like, I wouldn't say 100%, because there's still good people within government.
Yeah.
We can't just sit here and bash government like it's all bad.
Yeah, but I mean, a middle manager at a corporation, he's part of that corporation, but he's not controlling it. He's part of the machine.
Yeah.
We're all part of the machine, whether we want to be or not.
Everybody on every tier, from government to corporations, they're always faced with something at some point where they have to make a decision, and it could cost their career.
Sure.
And they could lose
and
everything.
There's peer pressure, and there's ambition, personal advancement, all of those motivators.
Oh, yeah, if you're on your high horse and you just want to keep moving up the ladder of government. And the people who try to do stuff like Ron Paul, they just get pushed out.
Right.
And then I don't
he
know,
didn't play ball, man.
I don't know what the hell's going on with Rand Paul. He's going off the deep end.
Well,
or
he's
something.
he's not Ron Paul. He's Rand Paul.
Well, you think
they're
he'd
not
have,
the same guy?
Why can't he have at least some pretty good values based in what
does.
his father had? I mean,
He does.
He does, but he seems to steer around him sometimes.
Sometimes he does.
I don't know.
He's more of a statist.
He's more of a politician.
Yeah.
He's not.
He's more of a politician's politician.
I don't know. Maybe he has some agenda down the road, but I mean, if he was any threat, he wouldn't be there.
Oh, I know.
So the days of Ron Paul are over. We don't have any
For
of that.
now, they are.
What's a Hunger Games going to happen or something, and we're going to be able to take everything back later on?
Well,
No.
we don't know, but everything ebbs and flows. We don't know how bad something might get before it changes in another direction. I don't know, man. I see everything I see just seems so convoluted in deception.
Just the blatant propaganda.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
It's just so crazy that you would think any normal person would just be like, "What the hell is going on?" This doesn't
normal
make,
people don't.
it
We're
doesn't-
not normal.
It doesn't make any sense.
Our insane rants here that are probably getting us on all kinds of lists
Yeah, who cares?
are not. I don't care. I really don't. Are not normal, and we do still have our First Amendment right, and we're not engaging in hate speech or whatever you can try to excuse as, whatever.
Yeah, you could try to take some stuff out of context, and
We're using our First Amendment right now.
definitely. It's our first A.
Our first A.
Chops, if you're listening, it's the first A.
First A.
So I mean, back into the news, I found this article, and this is kind of off topic, but I want to like kind of mix it in with some of the chemicals in our environment and GMOs.
You're going for that
like
one?
that.
Oh,
I'm going for the woman.
Too.
Well, you can come back around on that one,
All
but
right.
this woman, she gave this. This is what the shocking this is the shock value of this headline.
Right.
It says like a woman gives birth to a 3-headed baby.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a
Let me
3-headed.
see
It's
that.
not a 3-headed baby. All it is a baby that has 2 growths coming out of the back of its head. Okay.
Oh.
So I don't know, other people have seen this in some research from scientists on
What's
TV.
that called?
Scientists on TV that were showing these cancer tumor growths on the back of these rats when they injected it with all this other stuff. So with some of these pesticides, not injected with pesticides, but some of these genetically modified foods.
There are like Roundup, Agent Orange from Vietnam.
Yeah.
There are still babies being born now, 4 generations after Agent Orange was dumped on their great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents and stuff, that are being born with major like defects still.
Yeah, now that same company, we're just spraying it on our crops.
Yeah, I know.
That's
And we have
awesome.
GMO crops that are resistant to it. So here's what they do. They hose Roundup over the crops before they harvest it because it makes it easier to separate the grain from the chaff. That's why they do it. And we have these crops that are resistant to the Roundup so it doesn't kill the crops. But the residue goes all the way down the line of processing and into our food and into our bodies.
Yeah.
And there are massive class action lawsuits against the Roundup by Monsanto and Bayer. Glyphosate is what it's called. It is one of the most toxic chemicals that humans have ever pumped into their bodies.
Yeah, but you can go online, or not online, you can just sit there and watch TV, and you'll see commercials for this weed killer and everything
I know.
like that.
Well, they're pulling it now. There's like multi-billion-dollar payouts are happening, and you know who's paying all that stuff? All this crap?
The government taxpayer funded.
Yeah, subsidized corporations taking money from
taxpayer
taxes.
funded.
Yep.
Yeah, but nobody really cares. Taxes keep going up. We're going to move into socialism, and that's the way it's going to
Right.
be, right? Okay, fine.
We're
let's go.
going that way. It's corporate socialism, and it is going to be. It's getting more despotic as time is going on. I got this thing here about teens less likely to use cannabis when it's legal. A study finds. Well, there's this weird.
Oh, is that your Stop the Drug War article, huh?
Well, not really. It's just it's kind of a psychological dynamic, and we all know this, especially the more rebellious among us. When you're a kid, and something is in common usage and totally normal and allowed versus something that's a little bit taboo and like rebellious to do, are you going to be more
You're going to go the
inclined-
rebel route.
Right, you're going to be more inclined to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the whole destigmatization of weed of late here in a lot of states, especially recreational use legalization, and just the general social destigmatization of smoking weed. Kids aren't going out of their way to go get it and smoke it so much like they used to be, man.
No, they're just huffing wasp killer now. Did you hear about that?
No, I mean, there's always going to be some of that, but it's a psychological play. So prohibition actually has a little bit of the opposite effect on human psychology than those who enact prohibition claim that their agenda is aiming at.
So if I told my kid, hey, man, don't do the dishes. It's bad, man. It's really bad.
It's
bad
reverse
for you."
psychology.
So is he going to do the dishes because I'm like, you're going to, this is a bad thing to do.
No, it's a little bit different.
I wish it worked like
But
that.
if you tell him, don't ever look in that cabinet.
Oh, he's looking in that cabinet.
Right. Don't
I'm
ever
ju-
look in that cabinet. The key for it is right here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get it to where he'll do some dishes or clean something or do his laundry or something. You know what I mean?
Well, it may be
Using
a
that
little
same
different.
kind of reverse play on him right there.
Well, just be like, hey, smoke this and go do your chores.
smoke this and go, oh, no.
He won't
no.
do them then, huh?
No, he definitely. Then he'll be on the couch eating potato chips.
Right.
You don't want that.
This study
You don't want to
here-
give your kids any drugs anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They're out there. Awareness is everything. Kids are going to do what they're going to do. You
Well,
might as well
to let
educate
them
them.
figure it out. I'm not doing it to them.
Well, you might as well whatever. Yeah. It's
I educate them, but they're not ever going to see anything and
Right.
get anything from me.
right.
And if I see somebody doing it, I'm going to be pretty pissed off, too.
Well, they're saying here that states that have it recreational use legalized is about 10% less of teenage use compared to states that don't have recreational use legalized. They They analyzed data from 1.4 million teenagers in the U.S., taken from youth risk behavior surveys, national surveys carried out by the CDC. These surveys always, as we know, can be flawed anyway. But
yeah, why? So the CDC is actually reporting that there's less cannabis usage in legal recreational
the
areas.
Study is reporting that based on data from the CDC. So the CDC
so the CDC is not reporting it.
No. It's the Montana State University is where the study's coming from. So it's all about recreational use, though, because for medical use, it said there was no change. Well, that's because when recreational use is out there, it's not the same as a prescription. It's open to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's decriminalized.
Right. You can just grow it in your yard, probably.
Right. So, I mean, all this is fine and dandy. It's kind of a loose study, though. It's just a trend that they're noticing because even though cigarettes were totally legal for recreational use, I still bought them out of the vending machine at Charlie's Diner when I was like 12.
I think everybody did.
Right.
So, I mean,
I probably am more rebellious than most of the kids were. I don't know, man.
Yeah, some kids just made sure to stay in those books and stay away from
all that kind of stuff.
Well, I stayed in
books a lot too, but you know, I don't know, man. It's just one of those trends that we see. It's psychological plays on how prohibition affects people psychologically and their desires. Usually, if there's a stigma attached to something, it has the opposite effect of what whoever placed the stigma was trying to accomplish.
The problem with weed, marijuana, is it has a lot of good qualities about it. Alcohol, what good qualities does alcohol have?
Right.
I mean, it really destroys people's lives.
Dude, the comparison is ridiculous.
And you can still be 21 to buy alcohol. So, and this whole prohibition with the marijuana thing has just been ridiculous for how many, like 50 years or something?
Longer than that.
I don't
Ever
even know
since
how long.
Harry Anslinger wanted everybody to hate Mexicans and prohibit weed because Mexicans smoked weed.
I mean, the properties of marijuana, I mean,
so much propaganda.
From helping seizures to helping migraines to motivating people with the sativa is a motivational strain, and then you have the
Indicas, go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed, in the couch. So, I mean, if you have problems sleeping, it's good to do a little bit of indica before you go to sleep. Help you sleep. You get up, you're fired up, work hard.
People will say alcohol can do that too, but here's the reality of it. Aside from all of that, just from a physiological standpoint, alcohol does a tremendous amount of damage.
Big time.
Alcohol is very toxic. It can make you physically dependent. It does a lot of damage to your organs. Alcohol, we see what it does to people that, no, not that you can ruin your life with weed. You can ruin your life with anything. If you're puffing down joints every 10 minutes, you're probably a schlub and not doing much of anything. But we're talking about people that maybe smoke a couple of joints after work have nowhere near the problems in their lives that people that slam a 12-pack every day after work.
Yeah.
This is self-evident.
Yeah, you drink that first 12-pack. Those people that drink it for years, they have to go get another 12-pack.
And they don't have the physical problems, the health problems that alcohol will create. It doesn't shorten your lifespan. Dude.
It helps you sleep. It helps you eat.
So there's
so many great properties of it, and it's anti-cancer, too. It actually kills cancer cells, some of that CBD or whatever.
We can't really... I don't think we can confirm that. But
yeah, I think there's been studies.
I have seen.
You know what? I'm gonna bring it up in our next show.
We should.
Okay.
But see, here's the thing, though. This is a good example of nannyism, government propaganda, and nannyism, positive government for your safety and for your own good.
Yeah, for your safety.
With an agenda that is 100% fueled by special interest, because it is. That's why, alcohol, pulp, paper, and petrochemical industries are why hemp and marijuana were illegal in the first place, okay? And it's all about briberies, corporations bribing government for special interest mandate and legislation, and it often does much, much more damage than good. It spreads misinformation. It can also be compared to some of the diet nannyism, like the saturated fats are bad, carbs are good, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Dude, they ruined the health.
Or the four food groups.
Yeah,
they include
the
milk in there.
food guide pyramid and stuff.
Food
that
pyramid,
is all driven by corporate farming.
Yes, it is.
And special interest.
Well, that's it for the show, man. We'll see you next time. BobandBobShow.com.
Later.
Because politics are boring and nobody wants to hear about it.